How many chemical companies are there compared to, say, 50 years ago, and does that matter?
50 years ago, there have been thousands and thousands of chemical companies and thousands of seed companies. Last year, they have merged into a cartel of 3. The smaller companies were bought up by the bigger giants who've now concentrated themselves. So Monsanto bought up all the seed companies of the world. Now it has merged with Bayer. Dow and DuPont bought up a lot of seed companies, including Pioneer Hybrid. They've merged. Syngenta, which was already a merger of Shiva, Sandoz, Astra, and Zeneca, has merged with ChemChina, the big Chinese chemical company. So we have a cartel of 3, came out of Hitler's Germany, controlling agrichemicals and making it, they fooled the world over a century to believe that without chemicals we can't grow food. In the 80s, they started to take control over the seed through genetic engineering and patenting and the trade treaties. And now they have merged and they want to control knowledge, data, science, media, what we eat. For me, the existence of these 3 giants, who are toxic giants, I call them the poison cartel, is that kind of unaccountable power is a death sentence for the planet and people. We know their contributions to the extinction of species is huge. Rachel Carson had woken us up to this in the 70s, and we're still sleepwalking. If we had listened to Silent Spring, we'd have banned these companies then. It's time to ban them now. 80% species have disappeared from the 70s onwards, when industrial agriculture has spread further. And all the toxic pollution and all the diseases. We know only 5% cancers have genetic roots. 95% come from toxics in the environment and in our food. It's true, whether it's the life of human beings or the life of the planet and other species. A cartel of 3 poison makers cannot coexist with life on Earth. We have to make a choice. I started working on agriculture issues. As I mentioned, I was trained in physics, and agriculture was not my field of training. But it was 1984 and the disasters of Bhopal, where a pesticide plant, now owned by Dow, earlier by Union Carbide, leaked in the city of Bhopal and killed thousands. And the same year, Punjab, which is where I'd studied and done my MSc Honours in physics, had become a land of war. 30,000 were killed in Punjab. 30,000 were killed in Bhopal. And I was working for the United Nations University and wrote a book then called The Violence of the Green Revolution, which was the first kind of social ecological assessment in our part of the world of what chemical farming had done. Because it was a fresh look, I started to get invited. And disinvites would follow very fast, because the poison cartel could not deal with the truth of how much harm they had done. And it wasn't the case that they had turned India from a famine-stricken country into a country that had food. We had food. We had food now, we had food then. All they did was spread rice and wheat monocultures and destroyed our pulses, our oilseeds, our vegetables, our fruits, and destroyed the biodiversity. But it's really after 87 when I was at a meeting where they said so clearly that they were going to spread GMOs in order to take patents, and they were going to use the GATT, the General Agreement on Trade and Tariffs, which became the WTO, to impose laws that would make it illegal for farmers to have their own seeds. That's when I decided to save seeds, but that's when I started to watch these companies. So I filed cases when they came illegally to India, and I had direct threats. I had direct life threats. I continued to do my work because I'm guided by my conscience. I'm guided by seeking truth. And then they tried to silence me totally. I mean, I had the massive propaganda machinery work. That's why I know there's a propaganda machinery at work, because they've targeted me and I know where it comes from. And I just continued to do the work for truth, because fear is something that's cultivated. And I'm fortunate that I've had a family. I've had a Gandhian tradition that cultivates fearlessness. If the poison cartel had their way, I wouldn't be here just now. I wouldn't be speaking.
Are pesticides, fungicides, herbicides, insecticides, and other chemicals safe for people, pollinators, the food system, the soil, the water, and the planet?
Well, the word insecticide, fungicide, pesticide, herbicide tells you they're designed to kill. And every one of the chemicals we use in agriculture were originally designed for war, to kill people, human beings. Pesticides have their origins in the gases used in Hitler's gas chambers, Xylon B. Herbicides, the first big popular use was Agent Orange in the Vietnam War. The veterans are there to see how safe they are for us. The children being born deformed in Vietnam today are there for us to see how safe they are. Something designed to kill will kill. To then, having designed it to kill, to say no, it won't kill, is the most blatant lie that can be spoken, hiding behind a pseudoscience. Because real science teaches you not only that they are unnecessary, because there are better ways to farm and produce food, but that their hazards are real. I have watched so many scientists being sacrificed because they did real science. Arpat Putsai, Eric Seralini, Ignacio Chapella. We could do a whole book that thick on the good science that was silenced. Except that some people won't be silenced. Ignacio refused to be silenced. Seralini refused to be silenced. But Arpat got a stroke because he was such a deep scientist working in his lab. He didn't even know the real world of brutality out there behind these poison makers.